Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Travers Week Talking Horses, day 30, I want to say, of 40 here. Keisha Clement, Andy Serling. Unfortunately, because it's Wednesday, we're off the turf except for the stake. We had a lot of rain on Monday. I understand it's frustrating for a lot of people. There's no doubt about it. But they are off the turf. We can talk about it forever, but that's the situation. And just looking forward to Travers Week. It's going to be an amazing week of racing. And the good news is the weather forecast going forward looks sensational.
Yes, it's supposed to get progressively warmer this week too. So if you came up for the
Sleeveless
week,
today.
I know, but I'm wearing
Gutsy
pants. I'm wearing
gutsy
pants.
move for you.
So
I'm wearing pants
I know.
too, by the way, if anybody's wondering. Johnny's got pants on
He's got
too.
pants on, too.
Everyone's
That's a
on the
good-
set, in fact, has pants.
Honestly, I'm very glad for that. Yes.
You're not the only one.
Yeah. But it is supposed to get progressively warmer as the week went on. So if you packed warm weather clothes for Travers, don't worry about that. We should
Yeah,
be good.
it's supposed to be in the high 70s to 80s. Of course, Friday we'll be participating in a dunk tank to raise money for the backstretch employee services team,
Yes.
BEST. And I'll be in there. JK will be in there. Dave O'Rourke
Yeah.
will be in there. You can bid online for a right to dunk us, but also you can show up, and there will be a few available to dunk us. But come on
Cool.
over. It's a great cause, as there's so many causes in racing. And you know, whether it's the BCCA, they have their dinner on Thursday night. Whether it's the chaplaincy, they had their big event last week, but also BEST as well. And in conjunction with BEST and the backstretch, I think we should mention the passing of John Hendrickson, who passed away this Monday. And we'll have a moment of silence for him after the first race. And I can only speak for myself and my experience with John, which is not, I wouldn't say limited, but somewhat always enjoyable to see him, always a good sense of humor, always fun to talk to. But forgetting about all of that, because he was popular with so many people, his dedication to the backstretch, along with Mary Lou, but after Mary Lou Whitney, of course, passed, and how much he contributed to the racetrack, and particularly people on the backstretch, that void can never be filled. I think people will try to fill it to the best of their abilities, which is a good thing in memory of John, but it's a big loss and a shocking loss as well. And so many people we've talked to, and I'm sure you as well, had just spoken to him and seen him over the weekend. He was just here the other day.
Yes, here for the chaplaincy event the other day, and certainly condolences to friends and family, and like you said, just his commitment to carrying on Mary Lou's legacy as well, but also all of the other things that he contributed to racing, all that he did with the museum as well.
Yeah.
True friends to the sport of horse racing and to everybody involved in it.
Right, it's impossible to replace the friends we lose in life. But also in a situation like this, I ran into some close friends of his last night at dinner, and I think people are just really, really shocked, and it's really hard. But anyway, it shows you the fragility of life, but we will be having a moment of silence in memory of somebody who was a major part of the racing experience. You mentioned everything he did at the Hall of Fame and how much he did to bring it into the modern era, but somebody who will be missed and missed for a long, long time. John Hendrickson passed away at 59 on Monday. On to less important things. Let's go to Naira Bets and head over to nairabets.com. If you're not a member, use the promo code SPA250 and we'll match up to $250 of your initial deposit. Check out Track Stats while you are there as well. We have a bonus, I believe, with Delaware, $50 or more on Saratoga and Delaware. Opt in, you get $10 back. And, of course, the show today from 1 to 6 covering all 9 races as Travers Week kicks off, and that's DraftKings Travers as well. Race number 1, you know, I wonder, and I'm sure that Mike Rapoli and Todd Pletcher are happy to break their maiden at 1 to 9, and we'll take a look at them finishing second. The talented It's a Miracle last time out. I'm sure they're happy to win a race, but I kind of wondered, you know, looking at this Acacia, I think they probably really wanted to try the turf, because my guess was, their thinking was, you've got a 1.3 stake, the Jockey Club Derby for 3-year-olds, a race that who knows how long that race will endure. But I would think they were thinking, you know what, he's got enough talent that if he could be, especially given the relative talent of the turf horses these days, and I almost wonder if they would consider running in there even after a win here, and a very likely win, because he has plenty of turf pedigree.
Though second day it was all turf.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see this guy, if that was their thinking, to try to see if he was a turf horse to get him to that race.
I totally agree. I thought he was, a little intriguing, but with it coming off, like you said, Breakers Maiden, maybe we will still get to see him on the turf. And look, It's a Miracle was very talented. That was a very fast race that he ran last time out. And prior to that, he was in graded stakes against the best 3-year-olds in the division, including in the Belmont Stakes. So you certainly can't fault him for that. And we'll see if today's the day. This is definitely the spot for him to break his maiden.
If he's not able to beat the likes of Elko County, who we have second here, then he's a horse that has no interest in winning races. It just feels like he's going to win this race and win it by a significant margin at a very, very short price. Race number 2. This was a 6 furlong race for New York State bred maiden 2-year-olds, and you have gone to the 7 Bold Fortune, who was scratched as an MTO last
Yes.
Friday, I believe.
Yes. So entered in here to run on the main track, and unfortunately, I'm always bummed because I like to watch the workouts on XBTV, and this one didn't have any. But looking at the Clocker report, the DRF Clocker report, maybe a little bit slow coming out of the gate in a recent work, so that's always a little bit of a concern. But George Weaver, so good with 2-year-olds, as we know, having them ready. I do think maybe some of the ones with experience could be a player. Namely, I like the horse that you have in second in Joker on Fire, but I thought this one, who's a full stakes place, Walk With Me, who won sprinting on the dirt at 2 by Central Banker. Workouts looked pretty strong overall for George, and hoping that he's ready at first asking.
And George had his 1,000th win here the other day, and we congratulate him for that. He is not having his normal meet here. We've grown so accustomed to George having sort of tremendous meets at Saratoga, but, you know, it's you got to have the right horses. And he's had a lot of seconds, to be fair, as well. And there's always that frustration. But, you know, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you don't have the right horses, it doesn't really matter. As far as Joker on Fire, yeah, I just want to give him another shot. We have the same horses flip-flopped in here. He was a heavy, you know, short price, not a heavy favorite. We got wired last time. I think the rail was good, but the track was fair. And I just feel like this is a horse that's probably a lot better than his 39 buyer. Probably has speed in here, and looking to see Javier be aggressive with him as well. The 9 Sacrosanct, the horse that you and I both have third, a first-timer for Brad Cox. The second dam was pretty good. I don't know. You know, there's not a lot to look at. I think the second foal was the second of 4 to run. This is the second of 4 to run. The first one of them ran at Puerto Rico. And the other one, I think, didn't do much, ran in the 70s.
The one that ran in Latin America was a grade 3 winner in Puerto Rico, but did win a few times sprinting on the dirt here as well. My concern, so went 10 flat. I thought the work visually was okay, but that's pretty quick at Timonium, which is a dirt track, not a synthetic track. You're usually going to see 10 and 1, 10 and 2, and those are going to be pretty honest workouts as well. So did go 10 flat, but Honest Mischief, who was a horse that had really been kind of touted, particularly at the 2-year-old sales, 0 for 14 with starters so far. And so I don't know if that means maybe they need a little time, maybe they need a little longer. Supposedly they looked pretty precocious, so I'm not really quite sure what to make so far, but I mean, there were too many good-looking ones that I saw for them not to have some talent, and we'll see if they're going to take a step forward soon.
He was a Juddmonte runner that some will remember. He ran against Chancelot, actually, and was left in his wake in the Amsterdam, but he was a Chad Brown trained Juddmonte horse that was okay. He never quite lived up to his promise. We'll see how he does. That's race number 2. Race number 3, we're on the turf, the John's Call. Unfortunately, Foreign Relations, who seems to run by appointment only, scratched out of this race.
I was looking forward to seeing him in here.
I don't quite understand what he's not doing, but maybe his only reason given was it's a stake race, but whatever. I don't know why Limited Liability didn't stay in New York to run this race and has entered at Delaware to lose to the same horse that beat him in the Saratoga Gold Cup. He certainly probably would have been favored in this race. I'm not sure why a horse stabled in New York wouldn't be running in a race where they'd be favored, but that's the world we live in. As far as, and the winner is, I wanted to show some of his race from last time out, a horse that I put on top, because he was wide on the first turn in this race. I think he actually had some speed, and I really think that, you know, you see him riding behind Joel, but he never really, he tries to come out there and get a spot. He never gets that spot, and he's not really stopping riding him as Joel does, but he never really has that clear path to get through, and nobody was beating Major Dude in that race, but I felt like his effort was actually a little better than it looked, coming off a significant layoff, and I just figure if Chad Brown, and I don't know what he thinks of this horse, thinks enough to stretch this horse out, I'm going to believe in that against a lot of horses, Acacia, that I'm just a little tired of, frankly.
Yeah, that's certainly fair. I mean, that's why I took the new Mike Maker runner on top. But as far as the winner is, too, just at the break, he actually broke pretty well. And then as horses were kind of coming over because he was drawn towards the outside, kind of got knocked back a little bit and not persevered with. So I think he should be more forward as well with Flavian aboard. For Cathkin Peak, a horse that, yes, I know that maybe he's quote-unquote a new claim, maybe tested for class. I don't think there's anybody he's really supposed to be that afraid of in here. And he has some back class as well. Was running against Graded Stakes Company in California, too, and didn't run that badly when going a mile and 3/8 in the Del Mar Handicap.
And I mean, if you're paying any, if you're not in a coma, basically, you've noticed that Flying P stables horses
Yes.
are outrunning their PPs on a regular basis,
Yeah.
and it's just something that's going on. It doesn't really. I'm not concerning myself with what's going on. Just the fact that if you're not, if you're letting these horses beat you, they are. I don't, I went back and watched his Del Mar handicap at a mile and 3/8, where it kind of looks like he ran well. He didn't. He
That's
just
fair.
sat back on the rail, kind of hard held, and they made their run, and the field fanned out in the
He didn't
stretch,
really
and he just
kick
kind of just
on.
plodded along.
Yeah.
And so I don't, I know they'll look at that, and you'll see, oh, he got a 92 buyer, but it's kind of those turf figures where he ran along with the field, and frankly, he's got a lot of those. They probably claimed him thinking about this race in mind, to think about stretching him out. And it's Mike Maker and Flying P, so I've got him second. And if he wins, I'm not going to be surprised. But I'm a little bit skeptical of him overall. But listen, the Flying P horses are just outrunning their PPs on a daily basis around here. As far as 6-, maybe he's the logical horse in this race.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at his race last time out. I don't think he ran great, but he ran well enough to be a factor here. He's a horse that likes a distance.
Certainly. Battle of Normandy was very much the horse to beat that day. I thought that he kind of ran on a bit for third. I think it looks better on paper than it does visually watching the race, but he's fine. He kind of has, he's got a similar look where he's just kind of there at the end, maybe as the same kind of move as a Cathkin Peak. But one thing we know about him, Todd Fletcher's convinced he wants distance. He keeps running him at these marathon distances on the turf.
He'll be running at the end of this race
Yeah.
at some point. So he's obviously the one. He's probably the one that has the best credentials going along in this field as we move on to race number 4. Major scratches in this race
Yeah.
for me. I mean, I like the 9 Curlin's Wisdom quite a bit in this race. I wasn't shocked when he scratched. I'm never shocked when Linda comes out with these horses, especially a big drop down. I was just going to assume he'll win if he shows up, and I'm just going to be left with Flying P here, and I'm just not going to fight it. I know the horse was avoided claim last time,
Yeah.
and frankly, I thought he ran poorly in that
He
race.
did.
I actually picked him in there,
Yeah.
and he did not run well, but he drops the bottom, and it's sort of between him and 6%. We'll look at 6%, and you and I flip-flopped him. We basically saw this race the same way. With 6% for me, you know what, Acacia? I had him when he won this day at 690 to 1.
All done.
I don't want to take a fraction of this price today. That was what it really came down to.
He will be a shorter price. I mean, I picked him with the assumption that the 1A would scratch, which is what took place. So
I know they might both scratch, frankly.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had either.
This
to
was
be
an
fair.
annoying race because there were so many horses,
You
and looking
knew
at
that
it,
somebody was
right.
going to scratch. Which one is it going to be? But yeah, I mean, look, he's convincing at the distance. Last time out, he didn't run well. We saw Jackson Heights make that move up the inside that day to get the win. As far as Accidental Hero, it says stumbled at the break where Empty Tune wired. I thought even though he stumbled a little bit, he stumbled going forward.
Me too.
So I don't think it really impacted him.
I agree with you completely.
Just on the drops in class, maybe these two will find themselves in the right place.
But he's hard to trust, and he's
Yep.
a short price.
They both are.
And I think you and I probably had the same thought with Optic Way after the scratches. I know his form is a little dubious, but man, he is completely and totally loose in this race.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think you do have to at least acknowledge him being loose and also watch the early races. If you feel like inside speed's any kind of advantage, you probably want to give this horse another look. He's a little tough to take on his PPs, but he's the speed. Race number 5, fortunately not a lot of scratching in race 5. Race 5, more Vino, who we both have second. We'll take a look at his win, breaking his maiden. Todd Pletcher, as we've discussed, though he had a loser in this stat, but he had a winner as well, has had very good numbers. First time for a tag in Saratoga dirt races over the years, winning at close to 50% clip with virtually all of them hitting the board. I'm not going to be surprised when he wins, but I think, like you, I just wanted somebody else.
Absolutely. Look, he's fine. He absolutely could win. I didn't think his maiden win was very impressive. I didn't think his third place finish last time out was very impressive. He's in for the claiming tag today, second off a layoff as well.
Is he dropping, or is he really running where he belongs?
I think he's kind of running where he belongs
too.
versus looking at the races that he's running so
Maybe
far.
he could run in a
If you
25
look at the
claimer and find it,
yearling
but
price, then you say it's a drop. But if you look at the races he's been entered in, this is just where he's supposed to be.
I agree with you. I
Yeah.
mean, okay, it costs 400,000. That's ancient history.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
It's 2
I mean,
years
you buy
ago. Yeah.
they bought Forte for $110,000, and he turned into a champion.
Right.
So I mean, that's the game we play. He
Yeah.
wasn't worth 110,000 when he was winning the Breeders' Cup, just as this horse isn't worth 400,000
Right.
when he's running the races he's running.
Right.
I mean, so I mean, yeah, could they have waited around for a 25 claimer? I suppose,
Yeah.
but. You know, I agree. He's a very likely winner of
He
this
is.
race. I'm not against him. You and Nick Tamero, because I was talking to him
yeah?
last night, and he was saying to me, I'm going to take a shot with the Jack Sisterson horse that's only been on synthetic.
I just kept going back to this horse because I thought that Morvino was very much the horse to beat, but he's going to be a short price. I was saying there has to be somebody else that could be an alternative in here. So going back and looking at his races, both on synthetic for Barrelcraft, watching the last race, he ran to me like a horse that wants to go longer, just kind of out-footed. Drayden Van Dyke, who was aboard that day, was really kind of hustling him throughout. He never really kind of settled, got into a groove, going 5/8 on the Tapeta down at Gulfstream and off of a big layoff as well. The Dam's 3 wins were on the dirt. Both of the other siblings were turf horses, so we'll see how he does it, but seems to be training well on the main track in the mornings, and I wanted to give him a shot. I appreciate that he's not in for a tag, he's in for the waiver again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And for people wondering, by the way, about the waiver, HISA changed the rule where you can run twice now in the
Right.
waiver, a rule that was at Oaklawn that we
Right.
saw quite a bit. So people wondering, why is he allowed again? It's now you're allowed to run twice off those layoffs. And I was probably remiss in not putting him in there. I sort of, put Ice Road in there, never wins, but gets a piece. Maybe I should add him fourth instead of Whitby. As far as Dune Road, I was interested in him when he was part of an entry that was scratched here last week, I want to say. And this is his win first time out. I mean, you look at his win first time out, and you take that race in isolation, and he's a major player in this
Yes.
race. He can be forward. He wanted a mile first time. He got a solid figure. He looked good. Now, obviously, things haven't worked out. But if you start to go through it, he caught a sloppy seal track shipping down to Maryland just a month later, and then the next time out, got into a race, I think was dominated up front, and he just got caught very, very wide that day at Aqueduct. Then they tried the turf with him last time, and Linda claimed
Well, he
him.
moves like a turf horse.
Well, he doesn't run like one.
No, he doesn't.
So
that was a decent race that he ran in. Yeah.
and he's dropping too, and
Yeah.
obviously Linda's not happy with the claim, or she wouldn't be running for 16 today.
Right.
But I just thought he'd be a little bit of a price, and he hasn't yet completely dropped his pants and
That's
shown us
fair.
who he is. So
That's fair.
I just thought maybe he'd be a little bit interesting as an alternative here. Keisha's alternative, the 5 is the 6, minus the 10. We'll take a break, and we'll be back with the late pick 4.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Acacia Clement and Andy Serling, race 6, unfortunately off the turf. We were looking forward to these turf races today. They're not going to play out that way. And you've gone to the 4, Playful Lass, who does have that second, albeit a slow one, on a sloppy seal track. We have a fast track today.
I know it was a slow race, but she ran okay, and they're keeping her in again in here today. I'm sure they were excited to get her on the turf because I do think that she'll be better on the grass. But she was off the pace while Slightly Busy was forwardly placed, and that one was kind of drifting a little bit. But I thought that she kept on okay. I'll give her a chance in here. Like I said, she's probably a better turf horse, and we'll see what she does in the fast track. But I thought that she actually ran okay in that first start.
Obviously.
Going a mile, debuting is hard too.
Clearly a horse who can win this race. Kirk Wyckoff, I had lunch with him yesterday. Does that come into play at all with your
I had no idea
selection?
that you did, but
I did. We had a very nice
I'll
lunch.
take it. Yeah.
We both had salads. It was a really
Did
yeah, it
you?
really was.
Yeah.
It was a real
Was there extra toppings on the salad?
He had salmon. I had
Oh,
shrimp.
so healthy salad.
We went to we went to Max's, to Max London's. I like Max
Good.
London's.
Yeah, me too.
We had a nice time.
Yeah.
And then I got him hand melons. My mom and I drove out to the
I
hand
have
melon.
not been up there this year. Those are the best.
Well, you should go because,
The
as people know, the hand melon stand is right across
Yes.
the street. It's a little shop, actually,
Yeah.
from the Washington County Fair grounds, which
Yeah.
and the fair's going on. My
Right.
mom and I went on some rides together afterwards.
I love that.
We didn't. Are
No?
you kidding me?
Your mom didn't do the roller coasters? I bet you're a roller coaster guy.
You're joking. My friend Sarah and I went there about 30 years ago, and we went on that ride where they put you in the cage, the two of you, and they spin it around. It goes
I
around.
love it. I love all that
I
stuff.
still hate her a little bit because of
The more
that.
twisty and turny and upside down it is, the better for me.
She loves that stuff.
I love it.
I'm still
I love
nauseous
it.
thinking about it. But it is fun. If you haven't been to the Watchgatti Fair, it's a lot
Yeah.
of fun. I mean, it's just past Schuylerville.
My
It's
friends
only
went to the rodeo yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't go? No rodeo.
No,
for
we
you?
were babysitting my nephew. Yeah.
Really?
Yes. We should have brought Hugo to the rodeo in hindsight.
Hugo
yeah.
had a great time
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
rodeo. As far as me, I'm going to take the horses out of the 26th of July, the 6th race, particularly Open Flame, who I think is a very logical horse for Ken McPeak here, and obviously a big week for Kenny
Agreed.
with the filly running in the Travers. And this horse was 3 to 4 wide, pushed out even farther in the track. It was a day you wanted to be on
Yeah.
the rail. And I really thought Open Flame actually ran well in that race, and I think is a very likely winner. But I also think Speed and Beauty is a little interesting. Kind of got in a bumping match in this race in there, and kind of was like a little bit awkward early and wide early, sort of tucked in a little bit after that. And I thought was a little bit interesting for Mel Gibbonings getting into a dirt route.
Yeah, absolutely. It did kind of leap up at the start,
Yep.
too. So I think that kind of put her behind the 8 ball. Brad Cox is the first-name starter. Cha-Cha Ren, Connect Philly. There's not a ton of pedigree in the first generation to really sink your teeth into, but entered for the dirt, and we'll see if she likes it.
Yeah, I'd like to know the story on Cha-Cha Ren. Clearly there's a Ren somewhere that does the
Gotta be,
Cha-Cha
right?
for Saul Cuman and his Head to Plains. A homebred for them. You know,
Yes.
at first this horse looked sexier to me than it is. I'm a little bit skeptical looking
Fluffy
at that.
Socks was a
and-
homebred.
Well, that's because Slumber was in Sal's backyard.
That's right, yeah.
And
that's right.
there's actually, the Slumber, the one, Brian
I
Cooper,
know.
I think is one of the first Slumbers to run, a new Slumber.
Right.
We've seen
the 2-year-old slumber,
the
yeah.
good Slumber. What's the...
Well, you had Jimmy P win the grade 1 over hurdles. That
That's
was by
right.
Slumber.
That's right. But also
Yeah.
the mare that Chad Brown has
Fluffy
for them.
Socks.
Fluffy Socks,
Yeah.
right. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Anyway, yeah, we'll see
He
what
doesn't
happens here.
listen to me when I talk,
hear you. I was having my own stream of conscience going on here. I got a lot of things going through my head. I hang on your every word, Acacia. Race number 7. If you guys don't mind, since we both picked Los Roman Hop, let's start with the third video if you can.
I thought I was being so clever and going back.
And now you find out you're being
and
an
then I
idiot
found
because you agree
out
with
that
me.
You picked the same one. Yeah.
Let's go back in the time machine here to September 2nd of
Yep.
2020 when
A
Off the Claim
reclaim.
for Flying P, Lost in Rome, won at 1 1/8 at Saratoga. And
Yep.
they're having like a big meet, and they're going back, and they're going in the time machine with horses like this.
They
and
are.
I saw the same thing as you, and I
Yep.
thought it's a Flying P claim. Now, he's just supposed I know that the 7 has speed, Magnolia Midnight. Luis Saez
They're
needs to put
supposed
the
to
pedal
send
to the
from
metal
rail.
on this
Yeah.
guy and open it up.
Well, that's what they did that day 4 years
Yep.
ago when he won.
Yep.
He went to the front end, and I was scrolling through, and I said, wait a minute, didn't they used to have this horse? And
Yep.
looked back, saw exactly that, and, dipping back in, I'm sure Jay and the Flying P team are anxious to increase the chances of potentially getting the leading owner title, dipping back in for a horse they
Keeps
had
raining, then they'll have no problem being harvested because all their horses
Exactly,
keep
I
getting
know.
scratched.
I know. Believe me, the rain has been tough for a lot of horsemen.
Yep.
But Lost in Rome, I thought very intriguing in this spot back with these connections.
Yeah, no, you and I taking a little flyer with this one
Yep.
to wire the field. We'll take a look at Midnight Trouble and Complete Agenda going back. 2 back for Midnight Trouble and 3 back for Complete Agenda, who got put up last time on Legit DQ. Now, he was on a gold rail last time. I don't know where this race came from for Midnight Trouble, and Tom had him then. But if he's able to run back to this race, he could be very tough in here. I don't love his post, but still, this horse ran this race.
Yeah, I probably should have given another look at Midnight Trouble. His best races were at a mile. That was a huge performance this day for 40,000 back in May over Complete Agenda. They got too aggressive to start, or
Yep.
last time out, I should say, just against much tougher. Going back
But
to
he
a
still
level.
didn't run a step last
I
time.
know,
That
he didn't
bothers
show
me.
anything. I agree. I thought the Complete Agenda was a horse that's just always kind of right there and has shown with the second place finish last time out, a mile and 3/16. 9 furlongs should be okay.
Kind of picks up pieces.
does.
You have the number 6, St. Andrews second. I wasn't.
I thought
a
he
big
was
fan.
against the track last time, though.
He was.
He was three
He was.
wide.
He was.
The
He got a terrible trip last
entire
time.
I mean, he
I should have included
never
him. He
saw
was
the
way
rail.
against it. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's not necessarily a winning type either, and maybe he doesn't really want to go this far.
I
but
don't
he
trust
really
him,
was
ex-Linda.
against it.
That's my problem.
That's
But
fair.
you're right. He
That's
was totally
totally
against
fair.
it last time. He had a
Yeah.
ridiculous trip
He
in that
did.
race and actually did not run badly
did.
in there at all. So I was probably remiss in leaving him out. Isn't Runnin' Ray just a very logical horse in
Yeah.
here? We'll go back to his race at Churchill, two back when he finished second, Ever So Mischievous. Now, I know
Right.
Ever So Mischievous didn't run well in a subsequent start, but geez, he just seems like the horse to beat, this
yeah,
guy.
I mean, he was, as you see, he was 3-5 that day. He's just better than what Runnin' Ray is going to be facing in here. He is a horse that has won at the distance a long time ago. He ran well. You even look back in 2021, he ran well. He has some tactical speed as well. I'd imagine he'd be sitting kind of just
Yep.
off Lost in Rome. We'd probably send from the inside.
I agree. I think he's very logical. We'll see what happens. I was remiss in not having a St. Andrews in there somewhere, to be honest. Race number 8 off the turf. And I guess in race 8, I guess that the number 13 on the hill is going to take a lot of money. Look at his last race. And I thought he ran fine last time. He's
he just
logical.
never wins.
He just hasn't won in so long. And I know he's finally putting some races back to back. But the other thing is, did he really run better than Big Prankster did when they met last time? Big Prankster's last race and his race 2 back. I thought Big Prankster ran very, very well in that race.
I thought so
guess he ran a
too,
little
but-
better, but I don't know. I'm not
yeah.
so sure he's really much better than that one.
I agree. I think they're kind of even, to be honest. And the thing about On the Hill is that I think his last 3 races look pretty similar. Was pressing the pace setter last time out and just he looked like he was right there. He actually hit the front, and then you could see it's the classic case. If you want to watch a race and we talk about a horse that's waiting on horses, that was what you saw last time
That's
out.
fair.
So that's why I put him second.
And Silverstone had a good trip to beat him, and he's
did,
okay.
yes.
But Yo Banana Boy probably should have won the race.
Yeah.
He didn't get exactly the cleverest of
Yeah.
trips in there. So I thought he was interesting. Which one of the entry do you like? I think they both can win. I kind of
I
prefer
do.
Gray Wing. Because at least
I
he's run
prefer
decent
Limit
figs
Up.
in New York.
I agree. I agree with that. I
Admire
think
it.
they both can win. It's encompassing both of them. I should have put 1/1A. I think they both are major players in here. But as far as Limit Up last time out, watching that race was 4-5, and to my eye, a little overconfident in the way that we saw that race run. And just they all got run down late by a closer. I thought a horse who has some tactical speed, has good dirt races. I'm sure Jeffrey Engelhardt is thrilled that this race came off the turf.
Yeah, obviously the 15-1 morning line is meaningless. These
Right.
horses are going to take a lot of money in here. And I started looking through quite a bit and kind of looking at who's in there. I think there's some pace. I think the entry has speed. I think Big Prankster has speed. On the Hill is going to be forward. And the more I started looking at Empire Sky, it struck me that from a figure standpoint, he ran the best race that he's ever run last time at 5.5 on the turf. And while he's run well on the turf, I'm not really sure that overall his dirt races haven't at times been just better, a little bit better than
No,
his
that's
turf
fine.
races.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have speed. I mean, he's
No.
not slow, but he can be effective in these shorter off the turf races. And I think he'll be a better price. I think he'll
Yeah,
just be
he
a
will
little
be.
bit of a price. So the more I looked, I thought, and I'm not saying he's the best horse in the race, I think he'll be the best price considering his chances of winning here. So I went to Empire Sky in race number 8. We were off the turf in the 9th. Both Nick and I were hoping the 12 would get in, but to be fair, they probably didn't ship a horse that stabled out at Monmouth when they were in the AEs, and there are 10 in the race, so you couldn't get any more horses.
Yep.
We can't run more than 10 at a mile here, so this is one race, at least from a field size, we didn't really lose. We didn't really lose that much or anything really at all. Where did you go?
I went to the 4. They're Sweet Fantasy. There's really not a lot to sink your teeth into as far as previous form is concerned, because all of these horses that have run before are stretching out as well. But I thought watching the way that this horse ran like a horse who would appreciate a little bit more distance. I do think improved on the turf, but did show some speed on the dirt 2 starts back. So I would think Jose Ortiz is going to be aggressive with him, stretching out on the main track.
My problem with him, and I don't disagree with any of that, and he's a major player here, is I just felt he would be favored in here because it's Mark Casse, and Mark's having such a great meet. And so I was a little worried from a gambling standpoint,
Right.
and I'm not sure he's not the likeliest winner. He probably, in a way, is, unless you want to just go sort of straightforward in that 57 buyer that Tappert's Temper ran.
I know.
And Irad, I
was
assume, is
wondering, is he going to take money? But yeah.
Is Irad riding him or the 9?
No, Louis Sias is riding the 14, and
Luis is-
Irad
Lu-
is on the 9.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
And listen, to be fair, Pat Rickenberg got a big figure
He
last
did.
time, and if he runs that, he's a
He did.
major player in here.
Yep.
I kind of want to see it again, and I think
too.
you had the same feeling with him. And I was looking at other horses, like the 5 Strength and Guidance, and I know it was a wet track when he ran that good figure.
I was too tough on him. I should have included him in there.
I don't know. He may
Yeah.
be a horrible pick, but after he sort of stumbled after the break, Junior eased him. And I'm not knocking him, but he eased him.
Yeah.
And 2 races back, he kind of broke out. He got in a little. This is the one that got in the
did.
bumping match
He
with that
did.
horse outside of
All
him.
over, yeah.
And I think that was just a better field all around. I know that King's Leap obviously easily beat him that day, but you know what? Draws closer inside. He picks up Tyler. He's got the one good fig. He'll be a bit of a price. I thought I'd take him. And I think Retico, who you have second for Tom Moore, is it Retico?
I think Maggie said Retico.
Retico?
Yeah.
I mean, this horse got bet first time and
He
showed
did.
a lot of speed. You've got to think he's going to be in front.
I think he is. I think he's going to send It's interesting. I was actually intrigued to see him try the turf because the second generation
Me
is,
too. I was
is all
picking him.
turf.
I was picking this horse in the
I
turf.
thought he was a little interesting.
Yeah.
But I think that he will show speed and he'll be forward and he should appreciate more distance.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
And you've got the 9 in their Mythical Man for Dangar. The problem I have is it is kind of a dirtish pedigree to begin
I
with.
know.
They, ran
They
the
were running
turf
him on the
and
turf.
Just wonder if
Yeah.
they took a shot with a Mucho Macho Man for 25,000. We'll see what happens in race number 9. Acacia, thank you.
Yes,
Been fun.
thank
The
you.
good news is the weather forecast suggests that we'll be on the turf
On
next
the turf
Wednesday.
next
so
week for
you
my
might
final
actually be
one.
here for a turf day. So that's something to look forward to.
Amazing. I really hope so.
Yeah, but it's going to be a great week, and Travers Week, obviously, always a great week, and it looks like some sensational racing, and not sure how many of you have taken a look at that Travers card, but it's a fun one,
It
a
is.
14-race card. Travers is
I went
race number
actually
13.
this morning with Sue Garrett and her team to sew a couple of flower blankets.
Nice.
Worked on the personal ensign and
Really?
the Jerkins.
Really?
Yeah. Pretty
Nice.
exciting stuff.
That's
Big
cool.
weekend coming up.
Really? Where do
Yeah.
they do that?
They do it over at what's it called? The flower shop on Beekman Street.
Oh,
I'm
at
blanking.
Dean's.
Yes, at Dean's. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I order Dean's
It's
flowers
amazing.
for my mom all year long.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah,
It's stunning.
Dean's is
Yeah.
great.
They do such a great job too.
Ever been
her
the
team.
flower place that's like out Nelson Avenue Extension? It's like kind of, you don't know where it is, you can't find it. I forget what it's
No.
called. I know they're at the farmer's market every week.
Oh,
It's
okay.
great. My mom and I
Yeah.
go there to get baskets
I love
every
that.
year. It's a really nice
Yeah.
place. All right, we're done. Head over to Naira Bets. Use the promo code SPOT250, NairaBets.com, and we will match the $250 of your initial deposit. Check out Track Stats while you're over there as well. Also, $50 each on Saratoga and Delaware, and you'll get a $10 bonus, win or lose. Opt in over Naira Bets for that. And the show from 1 to 6. You on early with us or late?
I'm on early.
All right.
Yes.
So we're going to scoot over there. And you go to Naira Bets, figure it all out. Have a great day. Frank Mirabati up next. Reprise, scratch, and changes. Have a great day. Saratoga.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DraftKings Travers Week at Saratoga Racecourse. To kick off this week's festivities, the New York Racing Association welcomes the Saratoga Soundtrack Chorus to Saratoga Racecourse. Please stand and remove your hats for the singing of the national anthem, performed by Saratoga's own all-female chorus.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars